It's March the 2nd, early in the morning, 7:32 on my clock. So we'll start the meeting, and I'll start with the land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous people of Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Item 3 on the agenda is the declarations of pecuniary interest. I'm not aware of any this morning, or none have been brought to my attention. I think we can move past that. Item 4 is delegations. Again, I'm not aware of any delegations this morning, so we can move past that. Everyone was circulated a copy of the minutes from our last meeting. If there's any questions or concerns about those. Okay, not hearing any. Could I get a motion and a seconder to approve those minutes, please? See Todd.
I can
Got a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Again. I don't believe there was any business arising from the minutes. Lisa, is that correct? Is there anything in here?
That's correct. No, nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay, so we're moving fairly quick. And we're on to reports. Lisa, if you want to go through your report, I think we're at that step.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this will be one of our shorter meetings. I spent most of January basically writing grants and just trying to get through the 2 grants for the My Main Street. So I do mention them in the report. One was for holiday decorations and an event, just to add more decorations downtown. And then the other one was for art, hopefully working with the Libro Win the Space money as well. I attended several sessions on how to write these grants effectively, and was told in every single section that it's going to be a really hard competition. They have so many applications that they could just give everybody, I think, $7,000 each. But hopefully they like what we wrote, and we find out at the end of March is what I've been told. They're trying to get that turnaround pretty quickly. If we do get them, we'll have to act also very quickly, because if you do not spend the money in this calendar year, you do not get the money. So you can't extend it. There's absolutely no extensions into 2023. So at this point, I'm continuing on with the goals that have been assigned to me, but we may have to evaluate that if we do get these grants, because the one in particular will be a lot of work, the art one. I feel pretty confident that the holiday one I could do within the scope of my regular duties, because a lot of the money is towards decorations, and the event I would have people working with me, but the art one will take quite a bit of time. So that was most of January, and February's been trying to catch up and start to plan for the AGM in April. And I just really wanted to highlight that April 6th at 7:30 a.m. We're keeping it with the regular time because it's another online AGM, but I'm hoping that that is our last meeting virtually, and that hopefully for our May meeting we're in person. But of course, that's all dependent on what's going on with COVID and restrictions. I just wrapped up a few contests. They're really quick ones, a restaurant one, and then the bench selfie one, well received. This year, instead of shop dollars, I thought it would be fun. Scott and I had talked about just ways to promote different businesses. So winners got to pick a gift card for a listable BIA business, and lots of different options were picked, which was really great. Anything from Giant Tiger to Impressions to Life's a Party to restaurants. For the restaurant contest, the winner chose Diana Sweets. So that was really great. The one thing that I'm noticing right now is that we do not have space. If you are aware of space in Listowel, please let me know. I've driven around, I've tried to look for space, but I'm actually having people contact me about space. So I was hoping maybe Kim could speak to that, or Todd, just if we're looking at that, because we, as far as I know, we don't have space. Moving forward, I'm just working on the AGM with Fran. Hopefully the grants, some summer promotions and contests that I'm starting to look at. And I've started to work on the directory, which is one of my 2022 goals. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Lisa this morning? Where's Dynafit moving to?
They are moving to like a few stores down to where the tattoo place is in the back. I believe the owner of Dynafit owns that space. And I don't know, I know people are wondering how that would work, but if you've been in the building, I've been in it when it was owned by the previous owner or rented for the music space. There's some huge spaces back there, really high ceilings, obviously needs some work, but I think if they're remodeling it, it'll be a really nice space for them and more cost effective, because my understanding is that the owner owns the building. And I did have a few people talk to me about the current space for Dynafit, that there's an interest already in that space, but at this point I have no clear idea of what's going in it, but hopefully we'll soon. The new Mexican place is pretty fun downtown. I went down there just to welcome them and talk to them. And when I was in there, there was some salsas that I haven't been able to get in 2 years because I haven't been able to travel. So that was fun to go in there and get those salsas for my husband, who loves them. It's small, but they've really done a really nice job of remodeling and making it look like a nice space. It looks absolutely nothing like what it did when it was Blows Travel.
Okay. Any other questions for Lisa this morning? Not hearing any. Could I get a mover and a seconder to accept Lisa's report for information?
I'll move that. It's Carolyn.
Okay. And Mr. Ash is a seconder. All in favor? So that's carried. Okay. You were all circulated a copy of the financial reports that Fran sent out. I didn't have any questions about it. I don't know if anyone else did this morning. If there are any questions, let me know. Okay. Again, we need a mover and a seconder just to receive the financial comparison report for information. So I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Arminder. Have a seconder. Maybe I'm not seeing it. Okay, Matt, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Moving on, Todd, we're to you now. If we get an update on council activities, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So just again, fairly brief report this morning. We have appointed a new clerk team at the municipality. That's interesting staff news. I would say that for that reason, the month of January was somewhat quieter as we were dealing with an interim clerk circumstance, but our new clerk is on the job a couple weeks now and settling in quite nicely. We received over the period from our last meeting of the BIA wastewater and water system reports. They were all fairly favorable, as usual. We also have been dealing with OPA 202. This has actually finally made its way through County Council. This is the official plan amendment that removes a restriction, a legacy restriction that was in the official plan that prohibited the conversion of buildings on properties in the residential zones that were younger than 5 years. And this was actually a bit of a drag on, or potentially a drag anyway, on residential infill development. Of course, I think all of us here understand that we do have a housing inventory problem, amongst other things, and a housing affordability problem. And so County Council's action to remove that prohibition should, in theory at least, afford opportunities for homeowners to add a second dwelling unit in existing buildings that are fairly new on their lots. We also received at Council a series of housekeeping amendments for our North Perth zoning bylaw. These were deferred for a little bit of refinement because there were certainly a few questions and things that were outstanding, but they will reach our table again soon, I'm sure. We received more recently, and in fact, this week's meeting was a busy one. We received some information about social services and their interaction with homeless planning, policy, mitigation of homelessness, and management of homelessness. And that was a very interesting report. As well, we received the annual report from the Joint Accessibility and Advisory Group coming from the county that spoke to actions that have occurred in 2021 to support accessibility, greater accessibility in our county. We also received a report for information about the community safety and well-being plan. This is a sort of broad initiative that is trying to align and even sort of surface for the purposes of understanding the landscape around community safety and around health and well-being. And it is still in relatively early days. The first plan, I believe, was passed the early part of last year, if I remember right. And now we're at a point where the committees and action is happening on that plan. So there's an interesting report to council there that can be found in our agenda package if you're interested. We did decline a request from North Huron to provide financial subsidy for their recreation program. They made a request of a number of neighboring councils going back 6 weeks ago or so. And council considered a report from our manager of facilities that encouraged us to decline that request, and we did. As well, we did adjust advertising rates at various athletic and recreational facilities in North Perth, given that there has been some impact again with COVID and the pandemic restrictions on availability and uptime of those facilities. So we are giving advertising some break on that front. Council received and approved the fundraising and donation policy, and actually an application of that in the commemorative area. And I think if there are questions about that, Ms. Hale, who's on with us today, would be a good resource. We also received for a second time a draft of an open air burn bylaw. And this stoked, there's a little pun there, a certain amount of controversy, and the bylaw was sent back for further adjustment by the fire department in North Perth. More on that to come as we head towards the spring. We also received a request to instigate a market during essentially the spring and summer periods, an outdoor market. The request was to use the library patio in downtown Listowel, and it came from It Takes a Village. This matter was referred to staff for further consideration, including implications surrounding risk, and the fact that the proponent organization sought sort of a single sponsorship kind of status, including waiving of various fees and waiving of insurance requirements that would normally be placed on an organization. Concern was also addressed to council that this organization may not be a fully registered charity, and therefore this needs to be considered by staff in bringing forward a recommendation about whether to permit this activity or not, and on I don't know on what basis, frankly. And finally, just a few sort of general comments. Lisa asked about space for local retail. It's a strange problem to have, isn't it? And I don't think the municipality has any particular way of intervening in that market at this point. We of course play a role in meeting with developers who are interested in new build activities in the municipality, and I can assure that there's a fairly steady stream of inquiries, at least, including some of which have fairly large scope and which council has taken time to consider. But at this point, much of the sort of future development of business and commercial space, industrial space, is sort of in a holding pattern until the new official plan arrives. And where there is provisions because the development areas are within the boundaries of places that we've sort of designated for industrial or commercial, and of course, we're open for business and considering those applications. I think the realistic understanding that we must have is that new stock takes a little bit of time, right? There's the planning process, then there's the construction process and permitting process, and all of that, and so we're not going to see a rapid jump probably in stock from new construction. That leaves us with questions about whether stock could be released into the marketplace from existing stock that's zoned differently right now and could be brought into the mix, and that's a challenge as well. There are reasons for those challenges, certainly. Historically, and sorry, I'm maybe musing unnecessarily, but in the little villages, a lot of the space that was once commercial has been sort of grabbed up and used for residential purposes, and so that space has been lost to the availability of a commercial property over time, and certainly in Atwood you can see the fruits of some of that in the downtown of Atwood. So I don't think there's an easy solution at this point. We do have developers approaching us with, I would say, a little bit more frequency, proposing commercial or a mix of commercial and residential. And I would say as well that we're intrigued and interested by those possibilities that wasn't really being seen in the early part of my term, at least. But now we're seeing more propositions along those lines. I'll defer to Kim for other comments if she has other comments about space. But we do appear genuinely to be in a space deficit at this point, as you pointed out, Lisa, and I would say that it's a strange problem to have. It wasn't long ago that we were thinking about win the space, and now we're like, can we find some space? Maybe we need a contest called Find Some Space for our next initiative. And of course, I, just as another aside, and Kim may speak to this too, I continue to monitor and express some concern about what I continue to call labor reliability, but sort of everything from availability of labor to retention of labor. I continue to hear from employers locally about their concerns about these matters, and we know that we're seeing some fruits of the Great Resignation and the Great Migration now, as they've introduced another term, with people moving around, and we even see it in the municipal corporations. So we understand that we're in uh, again an unusual labor market that is not purely influenced by the pandemic, but the pandemic didn't help. The difficult and negative trends already being seen ahead of the pandemic, and there are still people who have essentially withdrawn from the labor force, and that is creating labor supply issues that generally are continuing. So certainly, I hear from people. I could, as I drive into Listowel, I see the help wanted signs. It's a very prevalent kind of problem, and we are looking at a range of initiatives and are being supported by the county in initiatives that sort of work towards the development of a more capable and reliable workforce. More on that to come, and certainly it's on our radar. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions for Todd this morning from anyone? Not seeing any. Okay. Item 10 is correspondence. I'm not aware of any correspondence this morning, Lisa. Is there anything?
We did have correspondence from Alex. I don't know if you want to mention that.
Yeah, so just, yeah, so everyone's aware, Alex did submit his resignation to the BIA. If memory serves, he's moving to the wonderful town of Saskatoon, I think is where he was going.
He is.
For some public service work. He was going to work for a municipality or something out there. But he did submit a resignation to us and thanked us for his time on the board. And we likewise submitted a letter back to him thanking him for his contributions for the short time he was with us. So he has moved on. Other business, we can move on. Kim, if you could give your update on things, please.
Good morning, everyone. So there are just a couple of items I want to touch on this morning, and I'll respond to those comments from the mayor and requests from Lisa as well. So our facade program has reopened, and we already are having interest. So information is on the website, and I'll be sending out an email to the businesses. It is eligible for those in the community improvement plan area. So focusing on the downtowns of North Perth, including Listowel, Atwood, and Moncton, and very successful in its initial year. And we're looking forward to more construction out of that first year happening in 2022. And, even during the period where the program was officially closed, I had a lot of inquiries from different businesses who are pondering and trying to pull together the elements for their application. So we're looking forward to that. And again, if anyone has questions, we're more than happy to be able to give guidance and support with that program. The Small Business Relief Grant is now open to new applicants. So that is open until March the 11th. It is on the provincial website for small business supports. It had recently been eligible for people who had been successful previously or who had previously applied. They were going to automatically be considered. And now it is open to those who were new businesses or who had not possibly applied previously. So we just encourage those that are interested and eligible to submit their applications before that deadline of March the 11th. It has been a busy grant writing season as well. We have had some positive news on grant responses. We're not able to go into a lot of detail about that. We will certainly be giving more information to come, but we're busy with preparations for future projects, as well as preparing an application. Rural Economic Development has an application process that's now open for Monday, March the 7th deadline. And so we will be, further to Mayor Todd's comments, be submitting quite a diverse application that addresses a lot of our strategic needs around labor reliability, youth attraction and retention, and trying to be innovative and supporting our employers to do so. So we'll be finalizing that, and I'm sure, regardless of the grant success, we will, that is strategic for us. So we will be doing what we can to support our employers. It is a challenging time, it exacerbated the problem that we have, but I know that there are ways that employers can respond to be effective in their attraction and retention of labor, and we'll do what we can to encourage and support that. From a space standpoint, I think the mayor did cover that thoroughly. We do have requests from commercial organizations looking for property, looking for to initiate developments, and that isn't a quick response, but we do what we can to be really responsive to those requests and to support information and to make sure that they meet all the requirements from a planning standpoint, as well as offer new opportunities for businesses. We do get requests from businesses wanting to start, and the common question we have is about registering. What do they have to do to register as a new business for people who have come in? We do not have a requirement for new businesses to register. Some communities actually do require that, and there's a fee for them to register as a new business. The municipality does not require that. We do have some free directories, and we kind of get them connected and into different organizations to help support and promote them. But that's not a requirement in the event that you are asked about that. And we always do encourage them to make connections for permitting and all of those good things. We are continuing to get requests from individuals who have started businesses or who are wanting to start businesses. I don't think they're at the point of being able to make announcements, and I expect there's contact with Lisa in some situations. And I think that hits the main areas I wanted to cover this morning. If anyone has any questions, I'm certainly happy to respond.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions for Kim this morning?
Not a question, but just to let everyone know that I have been telling businesses about the funding that Kim mentioned. It was in our last newsletter. It's been on our social media, and there's a business support page for businesses on Facebook that I also posted it on. So businesses are aware. There has been a little bit of discussion of some of the businesses not receiving it yet, which they were eligible last time. So I know they have been looking into that, some concerns there, but we have, as a BIA, definitely communicated to the business community that it is available and to make sure that they are looking into it.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Kim. We can move on to the Perth County update. Justin, good morning. You could give us that, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you. So yeah, just a couple of updates as well from the county perspective. So we are preparing for this year's 2022 Discover More Adventures program. So this is our experiential tourism program. So what that does for businesses who have an interest in developing a tourism experience is it provides them with a whole wraparound of supports, including professional photography, videography, training, coaching from our tourism experts, participation in some paid advertisement, some marketing materials, brochures, and that kind of thing. So We estimate the total value of this package for a business that's eligible and interested is about $10,000 worth of total wraparound supports. Again, it's a free program. And again, it's about developing an experience, a saleable experience that benefits the business as well as benefits Perth County in terms of bringing those local tourists and from further afield into Perth County. So we are encouraging any business that has an interest in kind of developing an experience or enhancing an existing experience to make it more marketable to reach out to our tourism officer, Ashley Brocklebank, to see if they're a good fit for this program. The other program that we're currently doing some intake on is our Discover More Flavor Farmgate maps. This is our Perth County Farmgate map, both a digital and a printed copy. We had originally had a deadline of Feb 28th to get it in the printed copy. We've been able to extend that out to March 25th. So farm gates that are still interested in being a part of the printed map for 2022 have until March 25th to get us information. Again, the farm gate program provides a full suite of supports to farm gates who are a part of the program, including inclusion on the maps, inclusion in some of the paid promotion for the program, as well as some tangible things, including signage, road signs, 911 pendant signs, some A-frame signs. So really, again, a free program, strong, helps businesses, farm gates increase their exposure as well as help us, create that value proposition for all of Perth County as a farm gate destination. So again, March 25th is the deadline to get that information into us. And that, again, is through our tourism officer, Ashley Brocklebank. March 18th is Transit Appreciation Day. So on that day, the PC Connect Community Transit Service will be offering free rides across the county. For those who are, have been interested in trying the service, might be a good chance to take that free ride and get a feel for what it's like to the user experience. We do encourage you to call ahead to book a seat if possible, but again, that's March the 18th, Transit Appreciation Day, and free rides on PC Connect service system-wide. I won't touch on the small business relief grant because I know Lisa and Kim have mentioned that, but just wanted to also emphasize that we did send information out via Perth County newsletter and our Perth County e-blast. So we're hopeful that all those eligible businesses have by now heard and applied or well on their way to applying. Did want to highlight another provincial program that has an upcoming intake, which is the Southwestern Ontario Development Fund. So this is a program that supports businesses that are expanding and creating jobs. There's a loan portion, a percentage of the portion that could be forgivable if job targets are met. So do encourage you, if you are talking or know businesses that are planning to expand, to have them reach out to us, or they can reach out directly to Jeff Wright, who is our local business advisor with the Ministry of Economic Development and Job Creation and Trade. So that information is on our website. It did go out in our recent email. And the upcoming deadline for that is April 21st, although they are encouraging a pre-consultation by April the 7th. And then lastly, I'll just talk about a couple of training opportunities that ongoing training opportunities we're offering businesses. Our Welcome Communities training is, again, a three series set of modules having to do with helping your business and staff become more welcoming. And the Stratford Perth Center for Business and Destination Stratford are now offering a 4-part inclusion and equity series called Mending the Chasm. And that is a once-a-week facilitated session. So for information on that, please do visit the Destination Stratford website for the second training and for the Welcoming Communities training that is offered through the county. So you can reach out to myself directly and we'll get you set up. And I think that's it for now. I know Kim also mentioned that there's lots of funding applications being developed at this time, and working with our local municipal partners to submit some of those applications to address, especially those workforce, housing, transportation issues that are all kind of intertwined in a fulsome way. And welcome any questions.
Thank you, Justin. Any questions for Justin this morning? seeing any.
It's Scott, it's not a question, but Justin has approached us for a letter of support for a grant that they are writing in relation to workforce attraction and retention through the RED grant. Just a letter of support, no real commitment from the BIA. But the letter supports what we're trying to do. So he asked for that yesterday, and I'll be working with Justin to get that done for his tight timeline.
Sounds good. Okay. On the agenda is a closed session meeting. We don't have one, so that we can just skip over that. Drawing close to the end, I just want to make sure, Lisa, double checking, is there any other motions or anything you need from the board to further advance what you're doing?
I don't need any motions at this point, no.
Okay. And double checking, there was no mention in the agenda about any accounts or anything that needed approval. So I assume that's all clear. There's no accounts.
Fran, is there anything that needs approval? I know I've sent in some things to you, but I can't remember where we're at with that.
We do have a number of sheets that could be approved if the board would like to continue to do that. I'm more than happy to provide those. We have quite a backlog right now. Or if the board is satisfied with the reports, once we get them in place or get them updated, as we're in the process of doing our conversion, but it's at the board's discretion. Would you like to see those detailed reports? You're more than welcome to. I'll bring them or have them available for the next meeting at your direction.
I'm indifferent to it. I just want to make sure that if there's anything that needs approval for payments, that it was covered. Sounds like there's nothing pressing.
Not at this time, no.
No,
Okay.
Not from my perspective either.
Okay, so we can skip over that then. And lastly, I guess it's not on the agenda, but I see Tammy on here, so I just wanted to extend a welcome to her this morning. Thank her for her interest in joining the BIA, and just to tell her that all the meetings don't go this fast or this quick, and not to expect that going forward. But again, thank you for your interest in the board, and we look forward to having you as a member and your input on the things that we do. So coming up, we have the AGM on April the 6th at 7:30 in the morning. There is no guest speaker or presenter that morning. Hopefully everyone on the board was aware of that. That was a decision based on things the chamber were doing, and just again the status of things to do with COVID and just the whole marketplace and workload and stuff. So our AGM on the 6th will probably be fairly straightforward, but please attend that if possible. And our next meeting is on May the 4th, again at 7:30 in the morning. So I'm not aware of anything else this morning that needs our attention. Nick, I see you raising your hand.
Just as we were talking, I think the space where BK's liquidation store is, I think it's for rent. I didn't think of it at the time Lisa asked, but I'm pretty sure that's for rent, as somebody was telling me. So.
Okay, I'll look into that. Thank you, Nick. I know originally they were going to stay closed till March and then reopen in March, but maybe they've changed their minds. So I really appreciate that. I'll look into that this week.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, and just to echo what Todd said previously, and in my line of work, naturally, I see a lot of the development applications and stuff that are coming to North Perth, and I think it's a question of timing. Anybody that wants to build a commercial plaza or do anything has to go through the planning approvals process and then construction, like Todd said. So unfortunately, our space dilemma is probably going to continue. And I, from my review of the town, don't know exactly where or when any new space is going to immediately happen. So it's an unfortunate or perhaps beneficial situation. I'm not sure which it is, but hopefully growth and entrepreneurship is not stagnated because we don't have any space available. So anyways, I think that's it for this morning. If I could get a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting. Nick, and I think Matt, maybe you put your hand up, yeah. Usually this is an easy one, so all in favor of that?